Eminem's 2004 sequel to The Eminem Show, Encore, would release on the 12th of November 2004. The album had a fascinating concept that seemed to suggest that Eminem was ready to step away from the spotlight. The album itself was meant to serve as the final encore after the Eminem Show was over, with the front cover of the album showing Eminem bowing out from his career on a stage. But the reverse image of that photo was found in the booklet that revealed that behind his back, Eminem was holding a gun. The disc of the album itself had an artwork that was meant to depict a handwritten suicide note by Eminem apologizing and saying goodbye to his family, and a selection of photos in the album booklet would depict Eminem opening fire on his own audience once the show ends. This was yet another classic Slim Shady murder fantasy that appeared to not only hint at Eminem bowing out of the rap game, but also painted a picture of a man that had grown tired of fame and was ready to turn his back or his gun on those same adoring fans that would gather to see him perform. And of course, the project included numerous tracks where he would elaborate on his relationship with Kim, for better or for worse. He had the song Crazy in Love, all about the difficulties of two crazy people being in love, as is the situation he had with Kim, with lyrics where he claims that she makes him a sick maniac, with raps that compared their love to schizophrenia, as well as echoing earlier tracks with violent sentiments towards her, suggesting that one minute he wants to kill her, and the next he wants to make love. He would compare Kim to his mother Debbie, and even reference domestic violence, suggesting that he had hit her that day, but saying she deserved it because she hit him first and provoked him to choke her, as well as saying that she lets him beat her while he lets her beat him. But it's not all negativity on the track. Elsewhere, Eminem would rap that he admires that she is as crazy as him, saying that he is attracted to her freaky side. In the second verse of the song, Eminem would open by acknowledging how much musical inspiration he gets from this toxic relationship, saying outright that if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't be able to rap, before truly wearing his heart on his sleeve and admitting that he has to convince Kim that he doesn't need her so that she doesn't use his dependency on her against him, saying quite literally, if you ever leave me, he'd have no reason to be, and calling her the Slim to his Shady and as important to his career as Dr. Dre. Even rapping that she never took half of his money and that she never divorced him, perhaps hinting towards the breakup being his decision originally. However, not all of the content on Encore aimed at Kim would be so complimentary. He would also have the song Puke that struck a much more negative tone. Puke was a hurtful and juvenile track aimed all towards Kim, with lyrics all about how he vomits every time he thinks of her, going into great detail how much he regrets numerous past tattoos of her name, as well as referencing her battles with addiction, even claiming, perhaps unconvincingly, that he doesn't want her back, and pledging to move on because of how sick the thought of her makes him at this point. The album Encore also included his moving track Mockingbird, where Eminem raps in a letter directly to his daughters, Haley, as well as adopted niece-in-law Lainey. Mockingbird is an introspective track where Eminem reflects on his relationship with his kids and failed marriage to Kim, with lyrics acknowledging how hard it must be for Haley to constantly see her mother in and out of the news for negative reasons, and her father leaving the family home on tour, ultimately admitting to his daughter that he never planned for him and Kim's relationship to go so sour, suggesting that at this point he doesn't ever see them being back together again. He would also tell a redeeming story about Kim, saying that when he was too broke to buy Christmas presents for Haley, saying that Kim told Haley that some of the gifts under the tree were actually from Daddy, despite Eminem not having any of the money to pay for gifts. He would also have lines that reference Mummy being gone for the moment, a possible reference to this song being written during Kim's stint in jail or rehab. Another Kim-focused track, which was a bonus track on Encore, was the song I Love You More. And in this song, rather than dissing Kim, Em tries to give a much more insightful account of the inner workings of their relationship. In the hook, he would say that the more she put him through, the more it made him want to go back to her. He would also make several references to physical violence between them, and he raps that they say they keep getting together for their child's sake, but suggesting that that's not really the reason, with the track line after line going into great detail about this toxic obsession that Eminem and Kim seem to have for each other. It would detail infidelity on both sides of the relationship, with Eminem suggesting that perhaps the reason they continue to repeat this cycle over and over again is due to them both feeling upstaged about having lost each other to a competing partner, with Eminem going as far as to compliment Kim's performance in bed, suggesting that even if he ran off with another woman, he couldn't find somebody as soft and warm as her. Eminem would also drop bars in the song suggesting that their on and off relationship will likely end up spanning from their first meeting in junior high until they both eventually die. But sadly for Eminem, an unexpected brush with death would only be a few years away, all stemming from the addiction issues that he had been brewing in the background for the last few years. Because in August 2005, Eminem would return home after completing his Anger Management 3 tour, being treated for exhaustion and undisclosed medical issues, with these later being revealed as an addiction to the sleeping pill Ambien. with Eminem telling Rolling Stone in a 2011 interview that he picked up the habit on the set of 8 Mile after apparently struggling to get quality sleep after so many grueling shoot days, as well as admitting that when his probation for the John Guerra beating came to a close, he no longer had to do drug tests and begun indulging in substances every single night. So, to try and overcome his newfound pill habit, he too would check into a rehab clinic, later admitting to relapsing as soon as he checked out, with fans getting nervous and rumours circulating that he might never perform live again. Combine this with the worrying sentiment behind his last album, Encore, it truly felt for a moment that hip-hop might just be a hair away from losing its most iconic personality. In lieu of another official album, while Eminem battled his demons rather than recording new material, in December 2005, he would release his greatest hits compilation album, Curtain Call. This was a project Eminem openly said was potentially his last release, saying ominously in an interview around the time of the album coming out that he didn't know where his career was going and that this indeed could be the final thing for him. This project would include Eminem's biggest songs of his career, as well as 3 brand new tracks, one of which was the moving song When I'm Gone. This is an emotional track reflecting on the role he plays in his daughter's life. Quite literally, a goodbye song to his family as if he was speaking to them from the grave after his death, telling them on the song that he's looking down on them smiling and that he didn't feel any pain, telling them not to cry for him but to rejoice every time they hear his music. Honestly, it's a tearjerker of a song. And in the context of this track being released whilst Eminem was taking time away from music to battle his addictions, with the true potential that he could have genuinely passed away any day, it's hard not to feel that emotional gut punch when you listen to this track. Elsewhere on the song, Eminem reflects mournfully on being dismissive of his daughter in favour of his career, pondering from the afterlife if he was focused on the wrong things during the little time that he had on this earth. He would say that he felt shame for ignoring his daughter in real life and then going and recording songs talking about how much he loved her, as well as expressing shame that he would ever assault the mother of his child Hailey, who herself bears Kim's resemblance. On the song, Eminem would recall a chilling, recurring nightmare where he says that his daughter would scream at him not to make music anymore, asking him why her mother is crying so much. He would go on to remember times that he had told his daughter that he wouldn't be leaving home to go on tour again, only to go back on that promise. Going on to describe a heartbreaking scene where Hailey would apparently try and block Eminem from leaving the home. Eminem would later break down the lyrics in a phone-in interview, saying just how much guilt he felt leaving his family to go on tour so many times.
I don't know if you heard the song, the new song that I have, but it talks about the guilt of always having to leave, you know, and at the time was mainly Hailey that it was affecting. You know, literally the things that I say in the song about the her giving me the coin and, you know, putting boxes in front of the door to try to block it, you know, to try to stop me from leaving. Those things really happened. And I'm at a point in my life right now where I feel like I don't know where my career is going. This song is like basically what, you know, the guilt that I've had to deal with from leaving, because I hated leaving my family, like, you know, leaving my home for the stage, you know, which I realized that I had to do, and it's my second passion, you know, is to be out there in front of people and you know, just rap in front of that many people and the crowds I draw and stuff. But you got to decide, like, you got to sit there and just figure out what's more important. And right now, there's nothing more important than my family.
As the song goes on, Eminem details a heartbreaking recurring thought that he had whilst performing on stage, imagining looking into the crowd and seeing his daughter Hailey crying that Kim was bleeding, and imagining that Hailey would ask him why he lied about leaving the family to go on tour, with Eminem rapping that he would try and placate his daughter, saying that he would leave the stage behind with her and Kim, but Hailey would reply saying that he's made his choice now, showing that he loves the crowd more than his own family. He would go on to say that the screaming fans and regret over leaving his family in this dream is the direct cause of his addiction to sleeping pills. And Eminem ends the track with another incredible and moving piece of songwriting describing the scene from the Encore album cover art, saying that as the curtain closed on him, he put the gun to his head and shot, effectively killing not himself, but the alter ego Slim Shady that got him into this mess. Ending the track by rapping that when he effectively takes this decision to kill his dark side Slim Shady, he then wakes up at home with his family around him, kissing Kim. He's essentially saying both that killing Slim Shady is what allowed him to get his family back together, as well as suggesting that his idea of a true heaven is simply waking up at home with his daughter and Kim. And the music video for When I'm Gone even featured a dramatized setup of these final lyrics where Eminem fantasized about this heavenly family life with Kim and the kids, with this music video apparently being filmed only days after Eminem had checked out of rehab. The song When I'm Gone is so powerful, it really can bring a tear to your eye by just even reading the lyrics. And no doubt when Kim and Haley heard this track, they must have been moved too. In fact, it would actually turn out that this song was possibly so moving that it would lead Kim and Eminem themselves to reconcile and attempt to get back together for good. And in the following months, it would emerge that Eminem and Kim weren't just back together, but fully intending to remarry, trying to live the dream that Eminem had described in When I'm Gone. And they would get into this union with the best of intentions. But sadly, as seemed to be the case throughout the entire cursed history of their romance, this reunion would be short-lived, and the euphoria of reconnecting would soon be dashed by yet another devastating and embarrassing fallout, which unfortunately would drive Eminem to the brink himself.